This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
The storms the last few weeks have been absolutely insane. You probably know somebody who has been affected and lost power, or maybe you yourself had lost power. And I lost power for only 2 hours. I live in Rockland, but I have friends who were without power for days. And we were texting back and forth and just talking about, why are we paying so much money to these utility companies, specifically PG&E, when they provide an inconsistent service and they just charge through the nose? So I'm so excited for today's guest. We have Shawn Davis, and he's going to be speaking on the state of energy in California and what you can do about it. Shawn, welcome to the show.
Johnny, thank you so much. Super happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hey, yeah, absolutely. And so the state of energy in California, like what can we expect? Like the storms have been hammering us. People are wondering, okay, why am I paying so much money? Is there any respite in sight?
Unfortunately, I think what you can expect is more chaos to come. And the reason that is when you think about where we are right now in the state of California in terms of energy, you know, California's got some very aggressive green energy goals, right? They want to be carbon neutral by 2040.
What does that mean, carbon neutral?
It basically means that they want to offset whatever carbon that they create, whatever's going up into the atmosphere, by offering green energy programs that help them to neutralize their net footprint. So effectively, what they want to do is go much greener with everything. Energy, they're getting rid of natural gas hot water heaters and furnaces by 2030. They're getting rid of small off-road combustible engines and weed eaters, lawnmowers, blowers, and chainsaws. All of that stuff is coming. Everything is becoming more electrified. The problem is, as you're referencing right now, the grid, our grid in California, specifically the PG&E grid, is so old and archaic that it cannot stand these weather events, and it won't be able to stand the significant and increased usage that California is planning for all of us with these aggressive green energy goals that are coming.
So what would you recommend we do to prepare for that? Because I know that lawnmowers and all that stuff, that's going into effect soon, right? Like within the next 2025-ish?
Yes, correct. 2025, that goes into effect. 2030 is when the natural gas hot water heaters and furnaces go into effect. And then, you know, of course, we can't not talk about Governor Newsom signing that executive order that he wants everyone driving an electric vehicle by 2035.
Oh, man.
Just a little point here that I think your audience might appreciate. If you drive 100 miles in a fully electric car, so think 50-mile round trip, right? You bring that car back home to charge it up. Most EVs have somewhere between an 80 to 100 kilowatt-hour battery. You charge that car back up at home for a 100-mile drive. You're going to use the same. You're going to consume the same amount of energy charging that car up as the average home uses on a full day in California. And so they want millions more EVs driving these roads with a grid that already can't handle how much energy we demand today. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah. I think it's not going to be a good look. So there's so many different potential opportunities. Like you and I have talked about this in the past. That's why we wanted to have you on the show. But that blew my mind. 100 miles is the equivalent of 1 day's worth of electricity usage.
Yeah. So get this. The Tesla Semi, awesome looking truck, very futuristic, right? Delivering Lay's potato chips and Pepsi Cokes and stuff like that. That thing has a 1,000 kilowatt hour battery on it. So when that truck depletes its battery fully, driving around town, delivering potato chips and soda, it's going to take the same energy to charge it back up again as 33 homes use on an average day in California. So imagine hundreds of thousands of those trucks roaming our roads.
How is this helping that whole carbon neutral goal be achieved?
Because right now, the predominant way that we generate energy in California is natural gas. And so as natural gas prices have risen, the cost of energy has risen. And then in addition to that, you've got PG&E stepping on the gas right now, trying to underground 10,000 miles of utility lines. And get this, the average cost of undergrounding 1 mile of utility lines is about $3 million. So we're talking about a $30 billion endeavor in today's dollars, depending on how long it takes them. And so when you think about that, they're aggressively moving forward to try to limit how much natural gas energy we produce. And that's why California mandated that all new construction in California in 2019 had to have solar. And I think the next iteration of it's going to be solar and batteries to try to address this issue.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the next thing is like you're talking about it's this increased load on the grid. Well, are homes just going to need to have batteries? Because it sounds to me like the next logical step would be scheduled brownouts.
Yeah, I do. Scheduled brownouts, it's very, very smart and very intelligent that you said that, because I see that coming. I see such a grid problem in the future that in certain areas on the second Tuesday of the month, you're not going to have power in your area between the hours of 5 and 10 because the grid won't be able to handle all this increased usage. Not to mention the biggest thing I think Californians should worry about is, if you're paying attention, PG&E has risen so much in cost because of their bankruptcy, and now they're wanting to prevent that from happening again, undergrounding all these lines. They just went up 13% in January of this year, with another $2 billion rate increase taking effect in March. Keep in mind, the 13% was $1 billion. They want $2 more billion that will take effect in March. Many people listening to this right now could see a 30% rise in PG&E territory and their energy costs for 2024.
Wow, 30%. And this is just to help pay for undergrounding these lines and their lawsuits and stuff?
Yeah, so think about it this way. So PG&E is a for-profit, publicly traded company with a board of directors. Their sole mission is to make money for their shareholders, right? Going bankrupt is the opposite of that mission. So when the Camp Fire happened, and then shortly after the Camp Fire, Dixie Fire, 2 major fires, Camp Fire, ended the lives of 85 people. PG&E goes bankrupt as a result of that, claiming responsibility for it, not really acknowledging it, but they were responsible, so they're bankrupt. What they don't want is another Paradise. They don't want another Camp Fire. So they have to underground these lines. The problem is they should have been doing this for 4 decades.
Why weren't they?
Well, quite honestly, because if you pay attention, they were paying their executives fat salaries. They were trying to make their quarterly benchmarks. They're a publicly traded company. The more profit they show, the more response they get from shareholders, the more value they're adding to shareholders, and they just ignored maintenance. So they were negligent. That's why they went bankrupt.
Negligent. So from what you're saying, they were just kicking the can down the road, cashing checks, and now we get to pay for their mistakes.
Correct. And now you're looking at a utility crisis. And for most people, what is happening right now in California is people are suffering in silence in their own homes. They're not able to keep temperatures in their homes where they'd ideally like them to be, that provides comfort and respite and renewal and relaxation. They're suffering in silence in the summer, sweating because they can't turn down the AC because it's too expensive, or conversely in the winter, they're bundling up with jackets and coats in their own home because they can't afford to heat the house.
Absolutely. We just helped somebody move into a slightly larger home, but it has a gas fireplace, and they were so excited. So they went from being, I think it was Roseville Electric, to PG&E, and they were so excited to be in this home wintertime and running this gas fireplace, like the TV over the gas fireplace, the Christmas tree over in the corner, and then they got their gas bill, and they're like, "What in the world? This is unreal."
Yeah,
and so they're going to dial back their gas usage, right? It's just they have to live within their means. But unfortunately, like what you're saying, many people are not able. It's more than just the gas fireplace, the optional thing. It's like this is how they heat and cool their home, or they're deciding not to make lifestyle changes because they can't afford the home with the pool, because they can't afford to run the pool pump all summer long.
Correct, 100%.
Yeah. And so we'll discuss different options down the road. But like, what I'm most interested in is what. In this show, we will cover what people will be able to do and what their options are. But out the gate, like, essentially the takeaway from this first segment is PG&E is going to be increasing rates. There is hope. There are options, but the rates are inevitable. There's no turning back. If
you look at it, it's kind of like today, right? Dark gray clouds looming on the energy horizon. Yeah. And I think everybody should be preparing for the worst. Preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. We've got some answers. We got some solutions. I'll be able to. Let's give some people some hope. All right, we do have some answers for them. We have tons of answers, tons of hope. Thank you so much for being on the show. This is Shawn Davis. He's the host of Solar Wise. Right? Yeah. When's your show air? My show airs every Saturday on AM 1530 KFBK. It's at 4 p.m. And if anybody's interested in solar, all you got to do is text one word, solar, SOLAR, to this number, 84503. Solar to 84503. Solar 84503. All right. Thank you so much, Shawn. We'll be back right after this. Shawn Davis here, radio show host and, more importantly, solar broker. And I'm reaching out to those of you that are lamenting, are frustrated with the fact that your utility bills in PG&E territory keep rising. The only option you have for saving money, the only option for taking control of your energy future is solar. As a solar broker owning a company called SolarWise, I would encourage you to reach out to us. Let us help you explore solar. Our pledge is to give you 5 or 6 quotes from 5 or 6 different companies. So if you text SOLAR to 84503, we'll see if we can help you save money.